United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anybody here for public input? Public input? Okay, being none, then we'll move on to review and approve the council agenda.
Move to approve.
I'll second as presented.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item A, approve the 5/4/26 council meeting minutes. B, approve the 5/18/26 council meeting minutes. C, approve the 6/1/26 council meeting minutes. D, approve the election judge list for the August 11th primary election. Item E, approve new tobacco license for White Cloud Convenience Grocery Store Incorporated. F, approve the resolution amending the separation pay amendment. G, approve the resolution to approve sick leave and the ESST payout to employee beneficiary.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Then we'll move on to the regular agenda. Item A is the water treatment plant improvements.
Evening, Mayor and Council. We are looking for approval to approve the PFAS pilot study and preliminary engineering services for the preliminary engineering services are going to be both for PFAS mitigation and our water treatment plant upgrades. So the PFAS pilot study is looking to be about 12 to 18 months long. As you can see, the total up there for the cost. We are looking at doing two different options for what's going to remove it more efficiently still, so GAC or granular activated carbon or ion exchange. And then also looking at getting a better VOC removal as well. The second part of this is just, it's going to go hand in hand with the PFAS study. As the PFAS study or the pilot study keeps going on, we're going to be honing in on what treatment is going to be best, and then that's going to allow us to start getting into preliminary engineering and hopefully getting that to 40% complete to get that to the state to review, hopefully next year. So with that, I myself and staff are recommending that this get approved so we can keep the ball rolling on the momentum on the water treatment plant.
Make a motion to approve the PFAS study.
I'll second that.
Just as a point of clarification, that the revenue that's come in from the.
Oh, yes.
The,
I can touch on that.
yes. Yeah.
So anything PFAS related, we do have grant dollars and settlement dollars that we'll be paying for that side of this. I did break that down on this. And then the $215,000 that's just for our water treatment plant upgrades is going to be how we did with the filter rehab previously, where that'll be coming out of our water reserve account for now. And then when we do go to bond for the treatment plant upgrades later on, that money will be paid back if it's needed to.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
Yes,
second.
you do have
Yep.
a second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. All right, B, conditional use permit, billboard on the off-premise sign corridor, REH Incorporated.
Mayor, council members, this is for a billboard that would be located along Highway 23 to the north of the Grand Depot area. There's a off-premise sign ordinance that we have that establishes a corridor kind of along Highway 23 primarily, but also another section of town. It's the only areas where new billboard installations are allowed. They have to go through the conditional use permit process that was established by ordinance, even though realistically there's not a heck of a lot to look at. They generally either meet the requirements or they don't. But it was identified that there's a little gap area on that parcel, maybe 100, 150 feet wide, that just barely clears the distance requirements from other billboards that are already there where a new one could slot in. So that's what they're pursuing at this point, is to set up a billboard that would be a V configuration, kind of facing the road like that. One side would be digital at this point, the other side would be static or non-digital. That could be converted at a later date if they would choose. That counts as a single signage, so they wouldn't necessarily need to come back and reapply to do the digital if it still meets criteria. We did have contact from one adjacent nearby owner that does have an existing static billboard. That's static meaning non-digital, that under the ordinance would be precluded from being converted to digital if this proposal were approved. That's kind of an unfortunate drawback of the ordinance. The way it's written is it does box out people at times depending on the way things occur. There was question if we could incorporate some sort of pass or approval to allow that one of his to be potentially converted in the future, but we can't do that. They can certainly apply sometime down the road if they would choose to, but that request would have to be separate, would have to be weighed on its own merit at that time. I believe that that billboard that is on the neighboring property is an older one that predates the current ordinance, but that could be reviewed at the future point if they would want to. So really at this point, there's nothing that would preclude this proposal from going forward. It does, the size and design does meet the general criteria of the ordinance as established. I would recommend approval of the attached resolution that you provided that ties the terms of conditions to it. We do require a few basics just to, as far as the height and size limitations, just drives those home for the applicants. And then that we require a sign off from MnDOT before we will issue any permit for the installation. So we can open up for questions or as recommended, I would recommend approval of the approving resolution.
I'll move to approve the resolution for the conditional use permit for the billboard.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the conditional use permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, then we move on to consider the fire chief appointment.
Mayor and members of the council, if you recall, we did interviews about 2 weeks ago, I think, actually from today, for fire chief. We had 5 candidates total, and the discussion at that time was to consider moving Sean Downs forward. I'd had the opportunity to work with our consultant, MGT, Tim from MGT, considering that Sean is moving across the country from Maryland. And so the recommended actions are the things that he is requesting for your consideration. And so that includes pay grade 11, which is our pay grade for that position. Step 7, which is all of those candidates were within that same range of pay. The moving expenses is something that's probably a little bit different than what we've done. This is really just to account for the cost associated with moving from Maryland to this area. But we have it limited to meals, lodging, and transportation so that we can hone that in, and then a not to exceed amount of $10,000. Similar to employees with the years of experience coming in, he's requested 3 weeks of vacation and then 16 hours of sick leave. And then also, as mentioned, he is becoming into our health insurance in the middle of a plan year, responsible for the entire amount of a deductible. So he's just requesting an additional dollars of $1,607.20 to help offset that cost for health insurance. So this is something I sent out to you earlier, just so you had that opportunity. and it's up for your consideration.
I move to approve Sean Downs as our fire chief with the aforementioned conditions.
I'll second, but I have a condition that the $10,000 moving expense is to move to the city of Waite Park. So if he accessed them funds and ends up not living in Waite Park, they are to be repaid.
Okay, we have a motion. and a
Wait, well, wait. You have Sarah that made the motion, so Sarah has to agree to his amendment if that's what she chooses.
I'm not going to accept your amendment at this time, especially given the housing market. He could live in a rental in St. Cloud for now because that's what's the best fit, even if he intends on moving to Waite Park in a house in the next 5 years.
I would not recommend you spend any of Waite Park's tax dollars to move somebody to another city.
I have to agree with you.
That is,
The
not
The
not a
moving
good idea.
expenses are to be able to have him relocate, and that's all I can tell you is to relocate here. He's choosing to move into an Airbnb right now for temporary housing, and then to be able to look for housing. But the cost is to assist him with his cost of relocating. But it's up to you guys on how you want to handle that. I understand the differences on that. So that is up to your discretion.
Do you know where his Airbnb is located?
Yes, no, located by the hospital. He's looked for housing in Waite Park when he's here for 2 days. So for him to answer that question today about where he's going to be tomorrow, I don't think he has that answer. The availability does become a challenge.
So did I just second her motion, or is there still?
No, she didn't accept your, so
Okay.
her motion would still be on the table. It would be a matter of if someone else is interested in seconding her motion.
I'll second her motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I would urge the council to vote down this motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. No.
Aye.
Okay, it doesn't pass.
Is it 3-2? Okay.
All right, you want to make it?
I'll make a motion with the amendment that if he does use any of the $10,000 and does not end up living in Waite Park, that it is to be repaid.
Can you clarify what you mean by living in Waite Park? Like, are you going to let him stay at his Airbnb for 2 months before he has to find a more permanent residence here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, he's got
So let me
some
clarify.
time. I understand the situation, but
Let me clarify so that I make sure that, because I'm the one that's going to have to make sure. Is the motion then that you'd give it to him up front?
what?
No,
No, not up front. The same stipulations. He's got to have receipts.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I'm saying before deciding if he's moving into Waite Park or not. I'm saying, can he turn these receipts in and get
And that's-
reimbursed for that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has access to the money.
Okay, but then if he chooses not to live in
live in
Waite Park, then he
That is
repays
to
it
be
back.
repaid. Yes.
And what's your timeline in him moving to Waite Park specifically?
I don't know, a year? Seems ample.
It's your motion, so I just want to make sure I understand it.
It's a year. Added into the amendment, or whatever you want to call it.
Adrian, you got all that? Okay, do we have a second on that?
Yes, Vic seconded.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second to consider the fire chief with some changes. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. All right, then we move on to item D. Consider the job change, title changes in the fire department.
So this is really just the title to make sure that we have the fire chief that's planning on being here July 1st. And so we're just trying to figure out exactly how to not make much transition differences between what we have existing. So the recommendation came from Sean and he had this discussion with Chief Elshire, would be just to have two assistant chiefs. One would be, Jim would be the first one, being he's higher.
Chief.
Yep, the chief. And then the second chief would stay the same as, Adam would still be his assistant chief. And then they can decide down the road how they want to do this. I'm just trying to make sure that when he walks in the door, that we still know that the same people are in charge. And they're just trying to, but if we leave Jim as a fire chief, it might be confusing as to having two fire chiefs. And so this was a way to try to transition into that. And so any title changes like this technically take council authority to be able to make those changes. So that's why I'm bringing it forward for you. I'm not recommending any changes in compensation. The pay, the things that everybody is doing is going to remain exactly the same.
Yeah.
So nothing is really changing for either of the individuals. So I
What
think,
does Jim think? Does it work?
Don't get to talk much.
Yeah, it works for me.
All right.
I want to help the new chief.
Sure.
And stepping down to a position below him is pretty obvious.
Yep.
But to keep me in a position of enough authority to be able to help him make the transition.
Sure.
So it works for me. It was suggested to me that that's what the position he'd like me to be. Had discussion with just text messages over it, and then I did finally was able to contact him yesterday and talk to him for a little while. So works for me. I think we got a plan to make the transition. Yeah. As far as Adam's position, being second assistant chief, I didn't feel that was my position to determine what Adam's position was going to be. And I think, I talked to Sean, that I agreed to do my position. I think it's up to the council to decide what other positions happen, but I don't feel that was my place to determine that.
All right. I'll move to approve
Second?
the title changes for the fire department.
All right, we have a motion to approve the title changes and a second.
and then just to make a clarification, it takes effect when he's here, which he's planning July 1st. If something changes with that, that is still the plan that way.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We need discussion.
Oh.
Oh, okay, you want discussion?
Yeah, comment will be that I'm really not in favor of an open-ended succession plan. It's going to go on and on and on, and then Jim will decide when he's going to retire. We need to time date that. And we have a period of time where you can do the transition, but not continue on and on forever. So I can't support that. It says open.
All right.
But he's changing position.
It says he's open-ended, he'll decide when he retires. That's open-ended.
Meaning that he'll stay in that particular
But
position
when
as
Jim
first
retires,
assistant
the
chief.
position goes away.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
it's open-ended, he decides when he's gonna do that. And so he could be here for a year, I'm just reading, a year or 2 years.
Yes.
yeah. It could take,
I'd like a termination date on his succession.
But we can't tell people when to retire.
I didn't ask that, I said that I would like to have
That's
a
exactly what you're,
termination date on his succession plan again.
it's difficult to have that conversation without the new person here to know and to have, we're making new transitions and changing. I respect that. I just don't know how else to be able to do that, because that transition from him coming on is going to take some time. Do I know how long time? I don't. And I'd like him to get in the door, them to figure that out and be able to do that. That's
And-
part of
And when Jim
the
feels
transition.
comfortable, but if we set a time on that, we are telling Jim when to retire,
Mm-hmm.
which we can't do.
He doesn't have to retire, he can retire when he wants.
Yeah, that's what this says.
That's what it, That's exactly what we're doing, but without a date, because in my opinion, then we would be telling Jim, December 20th, you're done as first assistant chief.
You can continue on.
As what?
Just don't need it open in.
As what? What would be his title? If we set a date, yeah, whatever the date is, and if we go past that date, then what's Jim's title after that date?
Well, for me, we had an active fire chief who is part-time. At his issue, he presented he needed a full-time fire chief here. Now we're gonna run a full-time fire chief and a part-time fire chief. And that part-time fire chief can go on as long as he decides until he retires. Period. A year, 2 years, 3 years. We need some stop point on succession.
He's going to be an assistant chief, and you're just essentially having two assistant chiefs.
Yes.
Which isn't uncommon for fire departments.
I understand, but I'm not sure how else to do it.
I
I
understand
don't-
your point, Vic, but it wouldn't change my vote in the end.
Continue in his current role for as long as he chooses.
Yes. And I think for all his years of dedicated service, we can
Well, I just
owe that to
made
him
my
as well.
mistake.
Okay,
I'll support that piece.
all right.
Okay, any other discussion?
We voted, right?
No,
Just have a second and a mo, or a
Okay.
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-1. All right, then we'll move on to pay the bills.
Move to pay the bills.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Anybody else have any updates they want to give?
I would like to thank all the volunteers who put on Family Fun Fest. Was a nice event. Weather could have been a little better at times, but it takes a lot to pull that off, and I would encourage anybody to go. It's when people volunteer, they like to see faces show up who are all also representing the city, so, yeah. Thanks, appreciate it.
All right. There's nothing else in,
I think it was mentioned during the work session, but I'll say it during the council meeting. The next
Oh, yeah.
meeting is July 20th.
okay. And if there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to
Moved.
adjourn.
Seconded.
Motion and
I don't
second.
know what
All in
just
favor?
happened. Sarah?
Aye.
adjourn.
Me,
Oh,
Yeah,
Frank.
pick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Meeting is ended at 6:53.
Why don't we-
Ah, come on.
Fire chief approved.
Sure, can you
Maybe
give me
better
just a
talk to the
second?
mayor.